赚啊。
不赚啊，少亏。
牛市来了就赚了呀。
啊？怎么来了？
牛市来了不就赚了吗？
牛市来了，他现在不是说他少亏了呢？
现在赚5%，那到时候翻倍了不就赚了吗？
怎么翻倍了？哦，就是开市了以后翻倍了，还是赚了
？5%啊，现在就是你翻倍的呀。
就是他股票还在涨，但是他没开市是吧？
还没赚够啊，赚多一点才能回本啊，对吧？你亏100万，那现在赚5000，那你以后赚1万，再赚10万、20万，一直赚才能赚。
对呀，为什么中国股涨了，你美股和澳股也一起涨，全世界的股票都在涨。
美股也有中概股啊，美股也有中国的股票啊。
中国概念股。哦，只是一部分涨了是吧？
全部都是中国的股票在涨啊，看到没有？
美国的股票呢？
美国股市里面有中国的股票啊。那部分在涨。
中国给钱了，银行抽钱了。
银行出钱了，对。
太多人跳楼了，必须抽钱。有多少人跳楼？
那给你听一听吧。
港 A 股情绪高亢，新一轮政策下的市场还有多少空间？来源：中经点金。作者：刘刚、王慕瑶。王子林经过上周令人瞠目结舌的报复反弹，市场情绪明显亢奋甚至超买后。我们在本轮重点回答以下问题：一、本轮政策的核心变化在哪？直接鼓励股市何妨？产强调消费传递不同的政策思路。二、政策多少算够？财政仍是关键，降息4570比例，财政扩张期到8万亿个扭转利差的话。三、市场还有多少空间？当前季度的情绪与5月高点相当，弱情绪回到2023年高点，对应恒指22500点。四、谁在买入？外资是否回流？交易与非投资为主，长线主动外资是为大局为由。五、短期博弈和长期配置的方向。短期一类比例下和落后板块，财政发力转向选中性与核心资产，否则科技成长、互联网、出口链本地股。9月最后一周，金融3部委政策和中央政治局会议超预期，提振市场情绪。A 股和港股市场迎来强劲反弹，领涨全球市场。上证指数涨12.2%，为2008年底以来最大单周涨幅，收复3000点关口。港股市场盘形更大，恒生指数收涨13.0%，为2000年以来最大单周涨幅，重回20.0点以上。恒生国企和MSCI中国分别上涨14.4%和16.8%，恒生科技更是大涨20.2%。高涨的情绪推动洋气市场成交也创新高，周五港股主板成交额突破4.001大亿，创历史新高。A 股成交额也达到1.46万亿人民币，为2018年9月以来最高。板块侧面，直接受益于积极政策运行的房地产正34.1%，多元金融正25.5%，涨幅居前，实体零售正27.1%，食品饮料正25.3%，零售正24.4%，保险正23.5%，互联网正20.2%，表现不好。而电信正1.1%，银行正8.8%，能源正9.6%，等传统高分红板块落后。今日开盘，港股、A 股延续火爆情绪，今日午盘，台股创业板指半日涨超11%，站上2100点，两市成交超1.66万亿元。香港恒生指数涨3.34%，恒生科技指数涨7.12%。图表，美股和港股市场迎来强劲反弹资料。来源：微言，中金公司研究部图表。中国市场领跑全球市场资料来源 ：X@ 中金公司研究部。我们近期持续向市场传递的企业信息，基本得到验证。一、港股具有更大弹性，因为其盈利更好，估值和仓位更合理。二、港股对美联储降息更敏感。我们测算，仅靠美联储降息和风险溢价回到过去5年均值，恒指有望达到19500到20500，目前已经达到该条件上沿。三、推荐对利率敏感的成长股，受美国地产需求拉动的出口链，港股本地分红和地产在本轮上涨中都呈现更大弹性。不过，大空担忧疯某也使得情绪起伏的非常迅速，甚至多项技术指标短期都有异透支。例如，当前恒指6日 RSI 相对强弱指标已达到96.5，为2018年底以来最高。上证指数也达94.1，要明短期超买。同时，与以往不同的是，港股买空成交规模伴随市场上涨反而增加，买空占比也一度走高，说明市场对后续走势仍存在一定分歧。那么，经历了过去1周大涨后，后续还有多少空间？建议配置哪些板块？如何看待新一轮政策的影响？市场进入了多少预期？哪些资金是买入主力？周一，本轮政策的核心变化在哪？鼓励私人部门加杠杆股市与房地产，更多强调民生与消费，传递不同的信号与思路。在此前多篇报告中，我们从信用中心的视角分析当前中国增长和通胀压力，问题的根源是持续的信用收缩，尤其是私人部门持续的去杠杆，而本可以作为对冲的政府部门，信用扩张天文偏小，未能起到有效对冲，造成这一局面的原因有二：一、投资回报率预期太低，直接体现为资产价格下行，尤其是地产和股市价格的低迷；二、融资成本还不够低，尤其是扣掉价格因素的实际利率，甚至要高于大幅加息的美国。9月24日，金融政策组合拳和9月26日政治局会议在内接连的政策调整和表态，均是沿着降低融资成本、下调多项利率和提振投资回报预期。稳房价与提供股市流动性支持，两条思路展开。我们认为本轮政策变化其实市场 放反击的原因，一是通过诸多金融政策直接鼓励私人部门加杠杆股市与房地产；二是更多强调民生与消费，传递了与以往不完全相同的旗号与思路。一方面继续推动降低融资成本与加杠杆门槛，具体政策举措包括：一、降息20.0比，7天逆回购操作利率下调20比，从1.7%下降至1.5%；10月 LPR 大概率同步下降20.3%；居民信贷中住房抵押贷款占比最高75%；企业融资以借记融资为主70%。无论是居民按揭率还是企业借贷率都与 LPR 息息相关。我们测算当前居民新增按揭利率3.35%，高于一线城市租金回报率这样的投资回报，约为1.74%；企业贷款加权平均利率3.63%，高于企业 ROA 水平2.87%。LPR 调降有助于推动居民和企业融资成本的下行。二、降低首付比例至15%，首套房、二套房首付比例不一，二套房首付比例25%，下调到15%，降低居民按揭贷款门槛。三、降低存量按揭利率至新发放水平，平均缴付50米可变。潘行长表示，有望帮5000万家庭每年平均减少3000元利息支出，同时缓解居民提前还贷压力。四、降准5亿 BP， 提供长期流动性1万亿元，是流动性状况，未来有可能进一步下调250亿 BP。四、另一方面，着力稳定资产价格与投资回报预期，降息降准政策整体还是延续以前宽松思路，幅度也基本在预期之内。更超预期的增长变化在于稳定资产价格和投资回报预期，体现在政策创新与目标描述。一、央行创设2个新的结构性货币政策工具，稳定国债价格，一是证券基金保险公司互换电力工具，鼓励非基金融机构股市投资加杠杆，首期操作规模15000元，后续规模可能追加5 000101001元5。二是股票回购自持专项再贷款，并且利率仅为2.25%，此举相当于央行为股市注入，增量资金，首期额度是3 000元，后续规模同样可追加至3 0000001元。二、目标性描述明确，稳定地产价格，政治局会议首次提出明确目标性描述，促进房地产市场持续回稳，大幅超出市场预期，地产需求端与供给端的节续政策或加速发力。此外，政治局会议关于财政政策以及对应生育消费品越界限的表态，传递了与以往不完全相同的思路与信号，若能落地，将带来更大影响。会议通稿中最超预期的表述在于对消费与民生的关注，指出把促消费和稳定收结合起来，促进中低收入群体增收。财政政策部署上提出要加大财政政策逆周期调节力度，保证必要的财政支出，要发行使用好超长期可变国债和地方政府专项债，更好发挥政府投资带动作用。市场预期财政政策有加力的可能，尤其在房价上可能转向需求侧、居民侧等财政成数更高的领域。初二，后续还有哪些期待政策多大算大？我们静态测算降息4570 BP 和财政扩张7到8万亿元，有望扭转理查倒挂政策思路的积极变化非常重要。不过更关键的是促成这一变化的根本手段及财政步伐是否够快，力度是否够大，否则可能在情绪和流动性趋后难以找到较为明确的支撑。基于这一考虑，仍从上文中投资回报率与融资成本的差距入手，我们更新测算多大的政策力度可以解决这一倒挂问题。需要说明的是，这一测算仅从静态角度出发，有较强的假设，其目的在于给投资者提供观察政策力度的参照。具体来看，降息4570 BP 可解决融资成本过高问题。我们静态测算5年期 LPR 10月大概率上至3%，再降4570 BP 至2.95%，负3.2%，有助于解决当前投资回报及融资成本的问题。一、居民地产投资方面，按揭利率3.35%，10月大概率降至3.15%，与一线城市租金回报1.74%，大平需要按揭利率下降约140 BP。根据按揭利率与5年期 LPR 的历史关系，对应5年期 LPR 下降约4570 BP。二、企业投资方面，金融机构企业贷款加权平均利率3.63%，10月大概率降至3.43%，与 A 股非金融上市企业 ROA 2.87%，大平需要企业贷款加权平均利率下降60 BP。考虑到中小企业可能面临更高的并且借贷成本、更弱的盈利能力、基准利率或下行更多才能满足需要。图表政策密集姿态稳增长，稳市场吸引力度超预期资料来源。中国政府网中芯公司研究部图表，按揭利率3.35%，10月大概率降至3.15%，高于一线城市租金回报1.74%。资料来源中芯公司研究部图表，企业贷款加权平均利率3.63%，10月大概率降至3.43%，高于 A 股非金融上市企业 ROA 2.87%。资料来源中芯公司研究部财政增量7到8万亿元或提振投资回报预期。相比降息，推动私人部门各类融资成本广泛下行，更重要的是推动投资回报回升，否则单一的货币宽松反而带来流动性现金期虽然融资成本快速下降，但因投资回报预期更低，私人部门也不愿意加杠杆，这也是财政发力的重要性所在。当前财政规模和速度都在加强，从财
我现在开英文，来，现在听英文，来。
Hong Kong and the shares are in high spirits. How much room is left in the market under the new round of policies? Source: CICC Insight Authors. Liu Gang. Wang Maiwei. Wang Zilin after last week's stunning retaliatory rebound and the market sentiment. Significantly excited, even overbought. We will focus on answering the following questions in this. Article 1. What is the core change of this round of policies? Directly encouraging the stock market and real estate. Emphasizing different policy approaches for consumer livelihood and consumption transmission too. How much is enough for? The policies. Fiscal policy remains critical. Interest rate cuts of 45 to 70 basis points. Fiscal expansion of 7 to 8 trillion can reverse the yield curve in version 3. How much room does the market have left? The current sentiment included is comparable to the peak in May. If sentiment returns to the 2023 peak, corresponding to 22,500 points in the Hang Seng Index. 4. Who is buying? Are foreign funds returning? Trading and passive funds led. Long-term active foreign funds have not yet returned in large scale. 5. Direction for short-term speculation and long-term allocation. Short-term below 1x PB and lagging sectors. Fiscal effort shift towards cyclical and core assets. Otherwise, focus on technology growth, internet-related, export chains, and local stocks in the last week of September. The policies of the 3 financial commissions and the Central Political Bureau meeting boosted market sentiment beyond expectations. A shares and Hong Kong stock saw a strong rebound. leading the global markets. The Shanghai Composite Index surged by 12.8%, marking the largest weekly gain since the end of 2008, reclaiming the 3000 point level. The Hong Kong stock market showed even greater resilience, with the Hang Seng Index closing up by 13.0%, marking the largest single week gain since 2000, surpassing 20,000 points. Each shares and the MSCI China Index rose by 14.4% and 16.8% respectively, while the Hang Seng Tech Index surged by 20.2%. The soaring sentiment drove the trading volume of both markets to a new high. On Friday, the trading volume of the Hong Kong stock main board exceeded 400 billion Hong Kong dollars, hitting a historical high. The trading volume of the shares also reached 1.46 trillion RMB, the highest since September 2021. At the sector level, real estate plus 34.1% and diversified finance plus 25.5% led the gains, directly benefiting from positive policy expectations. Food retail plus 27.1%, food, beverage plus 25.3%, retail plus 24.0%, insurance plus 23.5%, and internet-related sectors plus 20.6% also performed well. Meanwhile, traditional high-dividend sectors such as telecommunications plus 1.1%, banks plus 8.8%, and energy plus 9.6% lag behind at the opening today. The Hong Kong and the share markets continue the hot sentiment. By midday, the A-share China XD price index surged over 11% to surpass 2,100 points, with a total trading volume exceeding 1.66 trillion yuan. In both markets, the Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong rose by 3.34%, while the Hang Seng Tech Index surged by 7.12% chart. Strong rebound in the share and Hong Kong stock market source. WIN, China International Capital Corporation Research Department. Chart, China market leading the global markets data source. FactSet, China International Capital Corporation Research Department. Several points of information that we have been continuously conveying to the market recently have been basically confirmed. One, Hong Kong stocks have greater resilience because of better earnings. More thorough clearing of valuations and positions point to Hong Kong stocks are more sensitive to the Fed rate cuts. We estimate that solely relying on the Fed rate cuts and risk premium returning to the 5-year average, the Hang Seng Index is expected to reach 19,500, 20,500, and it has already reached the upper limit of this range. 0.38 is recommended to focus on interest rate sensitive growth stocks, the export chain driven by U.S. real estate demand, local dividends, and real estate in the Hong Kong stock market, all showing greater resilience in this round of gains. However, the fear of missing out FOMO has led to emotions being very quickly accounted for, even with multiple technical in the short term. For example, the Hang Seng Index on the 6th of the current RSI relative strength index has reached 96.5, the highest since the end of 2018, and the SSE Composite Index also reached 94.1, indicating a short-term overbought condition. However, unlike the past, short selling in the Hong Kong stock market has increased along with the market rally, and the short selling ratio has also temporarily risen, indicating that there are still differing views on the market's future trend. So, after the significant gains in the past week, how much further upside potential is there? Which sectors are recommended for allocation? How should we view the impact of the new round of policies? And how much of it has been factored into the market expectations? Which funds are the main players buying into? Q1. What are the core changes in this round of policies? Encouraging leverage in the private sector stock market and real estate, emphasizing more on people's livelihoods and consumer signals and perspectives in several previous reports. We analyzed the root cause of China's current growth and inflation pressure issues from the perspective of the credit cycle. It is a sustained credit contraction, especially the continuous debt leveraging in the private sector, which should have been hedged by the slow and small credit expansion by the government sector. There are two reasons for this situation. One, return on are too low, directly reflected in the decline in asset prices. Especially the sluggish prices of real estate and stocks point to the financing costs are still not low enough, especially the real interest rates after deducting the price factor, which may even be higher than the substantial rate hikes in the USA. The Financial Policy Combination Punch on September 24th and the Politburo meeting on September 26th, along with the consecutive policy adjustments and statements, all revolve around the reduction of financing costs, lowering multiple interest rates and boosting investment return expectations, stabilizing house prices, and providing liquidity support to the stock market. We believe that the core of this round of policy changes, as well as the reason for the positive market response, are first, directly encouraging leverage in the private sector stock market and real estate through numerous financial policies, and second, emphasizing more on people's livelihoods and consumption, conveying different signals and perspectives compared to the past. On the one hand, continue to promote the reduction of financing costs and leverage thresholds. Specific policy measures include: 1. Cut interest rates by 20 BP, reduce the 7-day reverse repurchase operation rate by 20 BP from 1.7% to 1.5%, and there's a high probability of a 20 BP simultaneous decrease in October. LPR, the proportion of housing mortgages in resident credit is the highest, 75%, while corporate financing is mainly through indirect financing, 70%. Whether it is the resident mortgage rate or the corporate loan rate, they are closely related to the LPR. We calculate that the current resident's new mortgage rate, 3.35%, is higher than the investment return measured by the rental yield in first-tier cities, approximately 1.74%, and the weighted average interest rate of corporate loans, 3.63%, is higher than the corporate ROA level, 2.87%. The adjustment of LPR helps to reduce the financing costs for residents and enterprises. Point to reduce the down payment ratio to 15%, unify the down payment ratio for first-time and second-time homebuyers, and reduce the down payment ratio for second-time homebuyers from 25% to 15%, lowering the threshold for resident mortgage loans. Point 3, reduce the existing mortgage rates to the levels of new loans, with an average reduction of 50 basis points. PBOC governor said it is expected to help an average of 50 million families reduce interest expenses by 3,000 yuan per year, while also easing the pressure on residents to repay loans early. Point 4, lower the reserve requirement ratio by 50 BP and provide 1 trillion yuan in long-term liquidity. Depending on the liquidity situation, there may be a further reduction of 25-50 BP in the future. On the other hand, focusing on stabilizing asset prices and investment return expectations, the overall interest rate and reserve requirement ratio reduction policies continue the previous loose approach, and the magnitude is generally within expectations. The incremental change that exceeds expectations lies in stabilizing asset prices and investment return expectations, reflected in policy innovation and target expressions. 1. The central bank has introduced 2 new structural monetary policy tools to stabilize stock market prices. 1 is the Securities Fund Insurance Company Swap Facility, encouraging non-bank financial institutions to invest in the stock market with leverage. The initial operation scale is 500 billion yuan, with a possible subsequent addition of 500,000 billion yuan. The other tool is the special rate lending for share buybacks and incremental holdings, with an interest rate of only 2.25%. This move injects incremental funds into the stock market, with an initial quota of 300 billion yuan, which may be increased to 300 to 600 billion yuan point to targeted statements. Explicitly stabilize property prices. The Politburo meeting mentioned for the first time a clear targeted statement of promoting the stabilization of the real estate market to prevent it from falling, greatly exceeding market expectations. Policies on both demand and supply sides of real estate may be accelerated. In addition, the Political Bureau meeting expressed a different train of thought and signal regarding fiscal policy, as well as the emphasis on people's livelihood and consumer areas, which, if implemented, will have a greater impact. The most unexpected expression in the meeting communique is the focus on consumer and people's livelihood, stating to combine promoting consumption and benefiting people's livelihood, and promoting income growth for middle and low income groups. In terms of fiscal policy deployment, it was proposed to increase the counter-cyclical adjustment intensity of fiscal policy, ensure necessary fiscal expenditures, to issue and use ultra-long-term special government bonds and local government special bonds well, and better leverage the role of government investment driving. Market expectations suggest the possibility of a strengthened fiscal policy, especially in areas with higher fiscal multiplier as such as demand-side and residence-side sectors. What are the expectations for Q2 and beyond? And how significant are the policies? We statically calculated a 45 to 70 basis point interest rate cut and a fiscal expansion of 7 to 8 trillion yuan, which is expected to reverse the yield curve inversion. The positive change in policy thinking is very important. But what is more crucial is the fundamental means that bring about this change. Namely, fiscal policy. Is the pace fast enough? And is the intensity sufficient? Otherwise, it may be difficult to find clear support after being driven by emotions and liquidity based on this consideration. Starting from the difference between investment return rates and funding costs mentioned above, we update the calculation to determine how significant a policy effort is needed to address this yield curve inversion problem. It should be noted that this calculation is only based on a static perspective, with strong assumptions, and is intended to provide investors with a reference for observing the policy effort. Specifically, a 45 to 70 basis point interest rate cut can address the issue of high funding costs. Our static calculation shows that a 5-year LDR likely to fall to 3.65% in October, further decreasing by 45 to 70 basis points to 2.95% minus 3.2% would help solve the current problem where investment returns are lower than funding costs. One, in terms of residential real estate investment, to align mortgage rates 3.35%, likely to decrease to 3.15% in October with a rental return in first-year cities 1.74%. A drop of approximately 140 basis points in mortgage rates is needed, based on the historical relationship between mortgage rates and the 5-year LDR. This corresponds to a downward adjustment of approximately 45 to 70 basis points. Two, in terms of corporate investment, for financial institutions and enterprise loans, the weighted average interest rate 3.63%, likely to decrease to 3.33% in October compared to the ROA of a share non-financial listed companies to 0.87%, needs to decline by 60 basis points, considering that small and medium-sized enterprises may face higher private borrowing costs and weaker profit-making ability. A greater decline in the benchmark interest rate may be necessary to meet the needs chart. Intensive issuance of policies, unexpected strength in stabilizing growth and market confidence is RCE. Chinese government website, China International Capital Corporation Research Department chart. Mortgage rate 3.35%, likely to decrease to 3.15% in October, higher than rental yield in first year. Cities 1.74% source. Win. China International Capital Corporation Research Department chart. Weighted average interest rate for corporate loans 3.63%, likely to decrease to 3.33% in October, higher than ROA of a share non-financial listed enterprises to 0.87% source. Win. China International Capital Corporation Research Department. Fiscal increment of 7 to 8 trillion yuan may boost investment return expectations compared to interest rate cuts that led to widespread decline in various private sector financing costs. What is more crucial is boosting the return on investment. Otherwise, a single monetary easing measure can lead to a liquidity trap where even though financing costs drop rapidly, private sector reluctance to leverage up due to lower investment return expectations will persist. This highlights the necessity for fiscal efforts. The current fiscal scale and pace both need to be strengthened. From the fiscal pulse perspective, although it rose to 1.4% in July due to base effects, it weakened again in August and still lags behind the historical peak for percent. If expenditures are based on the deficit rate of the 2 sessions, special treasury bond and government special bond arrangements, our calculations suggest that the general fiscal deficit pulse may decrease to 0.4% by the end of the year. To bring the fiscal pulse back to historical highs or to increase the overall social financing growth rate from the current 8.1% to the early 2023 level of 10%, our updated calculation indicates the need for an additional issuance of 7 to 8 trillion yuan chart. If next year the broad fiscal deficit pulse is back to the historical high point for percent, corresponding to an expansion of the broad deficit scale by 5 to 6 trillion yuan source. Win. China International Capital Corporation Research Department chart. The private sector's social financing growth rate has declined significantly, while the credit expansion by the government sector has not been able to provide sufficient hedging source. Win. China International Capital Corporation Research Department chart. The social financing growth rate is restored to 10% during the year at the beginning of 2023, requiring an additional issuance scale of 7 to 8 trillion yuan source. Win. China International Capital Corporation Research Department. From this perspective, there is still a gap in current market expectations. The market expects that there may be a certain scale of fiscal stimulus in the near future to address the pressure of low inflation and weak domestic demand in the right direction, but it may be difficult to offset the continuous downward trend in private credit. In addition, the speed of fiscal efforts is particularly important. In May of this year, we estimated the need to increase the issuance size by 4.25 trillion yuan, but the progress of fiscal issuance and expenditure is slow. Against the background of accelerated private credit contraction, the required incremental scale further expands. Therefore, the key points for subsequent observation are: 1. The strength and speed of fiscal efforts. 2. The specific terms and details of 2 innovative financial tools that directly encourage leveraging in the private sector stock market, as well as the status of fund allocation Q3. How much expectation has been factored into the market, and how much room is left? Optimism has approached the level of May this year, reaching around 22,500 for the Hang Seng Index, equivalent to early 2023 sentiment compared to the market sentiment racing ahead. Risk-free interest rates are relatively fixed while profits react more slowly. Therefore, the equity risk premium has become the best indicator to depict short-term market expectations. Whether it is optimistic policy expectations or direct liquidity injections during the week of September 29th, the 16.8% increase in the MSCI Chinese Index was mainly contributed by the decline in equity risk premium, with risk-free interest rates not decreasing.
还有什么？
港 A 股情緒高亢，新一輪政策下的市場還有多少空間？來源：中金點評，作者：劉江、黃耀。黃子龍經過上週令人瞠目結舌的報復反彈，市場情緒明顯亢奮甚至消弭後，我們在本輪中從經回答以下問題：一、本輪政策的核心變化在哪？直接鼓勵股市和房，產強調民生消費傳遞不同的政策思路。二、政策多少算夠？財政仍是關鍵，減息4570 BP，財政擴張抽到8%可扭轉利差倒掛。三、市場還有多少空間？當前嘅入定情緒與5月高點相當，入情緒回到2023年高點，對應恆指22500點。四、誰在買入？外資是否回流？交易與被動資金為主，長線主動外資尚未大舉回流。五、短期博弈和長期配置的方向，短期入會 PB 以下和落後板塊，財政發力絕對信心其餘核心資產，否則科技成長互聯網，出口連結本地股。9月最後一週，金融三部委聽證和中央政治局會議超預期，提振市場情緒。A 股和港股線上原來強勁反彈，領漲全球市場。上證指數大漲12.8%，為2008年底以來最大單周漲幅，收復3000點關口。港股市場彈性更大，恒生指數收漲13.0%，為2000年以來最大單周漲幅。從會議上000點以上，恒生國企和 MSCI 中國分別上漲14.4%和16.8%，恒生科技今次大漲27.2%。高漲的情緒推動兩地市場成交價創新高，周五港股主板成交額突破4，000億港幣創歷史新高。A 股成交價達到1.46萬億人民幣，為2021年9月以來最高。板塊層面，直接受益於積極政策與房地產，升34.1%，歐元金融升25.5%，漲幅居前。食品零售升27.1%，食品飲料升25.3%，零售升24.0%，保險升23.5%，互聯網升20.6%，也表現不俗。而電信升1.1%，銀行升8.8%，能源升9.6%，跟傳統高分紅反彈落後。今日開盤，港股 A 股延續火爆情緒，截至午盤，A 股創業板指半日漲超11%，站上2100點，兩市成交超1.66萬億元。香港恒生指數漲3.34%，恒生科技指數漲7.12%。圖表 A 股和港股市場迎來強勁反彈資料。來源 Win 中金公司研究部圖表。中國市場領跑全球市場資料來源 Factset 中金公司研究部。我們近期持續向市場傳遞的幾點信息，也基本得到印證。一、港股具有更大彈性，因為企業利更好，估值和倉位都上升更為徹底。二、港股對聯儲局減息更敏感。我們測算，僅靠聯儲局減息和風險溢價回到過去5年均值，恒指有望得到19500到20500，目前已經達到該區間上緣。三、推薦對利率敏感的成長股，受美國地產需求拉動的出口鏈，港股本地分紅和地產在本輪上漲中都呈現更大彈性。不過，打控擔憂、荒謬也使得情緒繼日急飛上升中，甚至多項技術指標短期都有一定透支。例如，當前恒指6日 RSI 相對強弱指標已達到96.5，為2018年底以來最高。上證指數也達94.1，表明短期超買。同時，與以往不同的是，港股買空成交規模伴隨市場上漲反而增加，買空佔比也一度走高，說明市場對後續走勢仍存在一定分歧。那麼，經歷了過去一周大漲後，後續還有多少空間？建議配置哪些板塊？如何看待新一輪政策的影響？市場繼續有多少預期？哪些資金是買入主力？Q1 本輪政策的核心變化在哪？鼓勵私人部門加槓桿，股市與房地產，更多強調民生與消費，傳遞不同的信號與思路。在此前多篇報告中，我們從信用周期的視角分析當前中國增長和通脹壓力，問題的根源是持續的信用收縮，尤其是私人部門。
刷牙了嗎？